Welcome back, y'all.
What up, fool? That one felt good.
It did or didn't?
It did.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm finding my cadence.
Oh, good. Your ghetto fabulous cadence. I love it.
We're talking about one of my favorite topics today. I talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Reactivity. So being proactive versus reactive. We're going to talk about how to undo the urgency in your leadership style and your culture. How's that feel? How's that feel when we say that?
I love this topic mainly because I fucking suck at it. Everything is an emergency. I'm better.
You've gotten a lot better.
I have gotten so much better at this.
Like 1,000% better.
Yeah. And you didn't even know me when I was like real bad at it. Like everything coming from restoration. Everything's like an emergency, which is interesting because like people do die in floods, but typically in the floods that we handled, nobody died. I mean, sometimes in fires, like that was a thing, but like the fire has to be put out first before you can go rebuild.
You weren't the fire department.
No, but like in restoration, you act like you're the damn fire department. Like everything's an emergency. We have a flood. Mm-hmm. The dog threw up on the carpet. Like that's not actually an emergency. Your carpet's not gonna die. Like it's fine. And even if it does, you can get new carpet. It sucks. I get it. But yeah, no, it's a whole thing that I've had to unwind. And before that, I was in childcare. And so there are a few emergencies there.
I can see that.
Some kids could die. Never on my watch, though. I have
100% survival
I have
rate.
100% survival ratio. And I've never had a kid, knock on wood.
Yep.
I've never had a kid break a bone on my watch.
Wow. I can't even say that.
Yeah, I bet you can't. No, I have a very clean track record and I have been around a lot of kids. So I'm excited about this because I have struggled with this and undoing that mentality. But first, since you're the pro at this, I have a very honest question for you.
Great, let's do it.
And I can't wait. Where does this show up for you? The worst. And I so have an answer.
For me, you have.
Oh, I have an answer.
Okay, great. It's
going
to be a great little sharing circle.
Interested to see if our answers are the same.
Okay. Where am I confusing like urgency with effectiveness? Where am I being reactive?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is it gonna be?
I've never been so eager for an answer.
I don't know. And now I'm like trying to think of what you would think, and it's like clouding my thoughts.
Just your honest answer. They can be different.
I don't know. I mean, let's see. Let's think of some instances. Anything communication based.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's the obvious one. Yeah. Now that
you're like addicted. Like I was thinking about this the other day. You will literally like the safest person I know. If somebody texts you and you feel like you're supposed to respond, you have like an obsession. I'm like, it can wait like 5 minutes. And you're like, just like can't get. You're just like literally can't not communicate. I'm like, Taylor, leave it. We're gonna practice that in the car later.
All right, maybe.
I'm like, take a beat, bro. It's fine. They can wait 2 minutes. It's not for 2 weeks. You're on it. I think because it pisses you off so bad when people don't communicate quickly.
I've talked about this on other podcast episodes. Yeah. This is not what this episode is about, but and you're right. Like there is a happy medium that I try to work to find. Oftentimes fail. Also, like it is such a major. It's one of my core values. Like it is my first. Like and for me, like prompt and honest communication, clear communication is the clearest sign of respect. Like we make time for the things that we value, and if you do not make time for me, I assume that you do not value our relationship, and then vice versa. Like that's the standard I hold myself to for communication in the other direction. Like, I want people to know that I value them and our relationship. And so for me, that's a standard that is like very high that I hold myself to. But you're right. There's an urgency piece there. Like, I get in my own way. I can struggle to distinguish in what capacity that's like really important versus like just all communication. I can take like a broad stroke there. So, all right, that's a good question. And we had the same answer. So good.
I know you. You know you. It's a good day.
We're communicating effectively because you know that
I know your urgency mechanisms.
Yeah.
No, this is something that we've talked about so much, and something that we push leaders. Literally, all of our clients, we've had this conversation, and if we haven't, y'all, it's coming.
It's coming.
If you are a client and you're listening, you're like, we haven't talked about this. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
so just wait for it. Because this has a huge cost. So when you're in a place in leadership where you are driving from urgency and not being proactive, and you will automatically create a culture of urgency. And I think for most of us that are high achievers, we're like, that's not a bad thing, right? Like, that sounds kind of good.
Yeah.
I want my team to be urgent.
Well, that's what we're going to really unpack today. Is there is it's a thin line between when speed is an appropriate measure of success and when that speed or that feeling of needing to have speed as an important metric, i.e. urgency, actually derails things. So how it impacts negatively communication, how it impacts our processes and procedures. So, it can make things very scrambled and very hard to replicate when you're just running. My dad always said, like, running like your hair is on fire, right? It's just like this.
Running with like a chicken with your head.
Yeah, there you go. There's another one. So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna, as always, talk about some very clear deliverables of what it looks like to change that inside of your organization and your culture. First part of this is to understand that urgency isn't a strategy, and this is that like processes and procedures component where just approaching things with speed as the primary metric is not a strategy that's repeatable, and it is really hard for people to replicate because they don't understand. Everybody's definition of that is different, and so urgency it's a short-term fix. It's not something that's built again to be repeatable. And ultimately, from a leadership perspective, and then from the culture of our organizations, it's a long game. These things are designed or should be designed to be sustainable. Our approach to leadership should be the long game. Our approach to how we build our companies and think about our culture should be a long game. Next is that it creates a very anxious culture. So let's just everyone put yourself in a place where urgency is the primary mover, the primary driver. That's not typically an environment where anyone thrives, including the person who is pushing the urgency, right? Like if it's me and I'm like, we have to get this done super fast. Like, this is the only thing that matters is speed, and we have to. That's not my highest and best. I inevitably will feel out of alignment. I'll feel anxious, or I'll feel stressed, or I'll feel a lack of confidence. My communication breaks down with those involved because I'm not right. Like it really can spiral. And that anxiety leads to confusion, like we were talking about. So the communication breakdown piece, it also leads to burnout. No one can last in that culture, including the leadership, including the person who is probably pushing anxiousness as kind of the primary driver. And then the third component of this is if you train your team to wait for you as a leader to react, then that takes away their ability to be empowered and to be autonomous. And these are the things that we always want in our team. We want them to, once we understand the clear directives, once we're aligned on a mission and vision and our values, and we're on the same page and all these things are happening, then we want them to run, and we want them to reach their full potential. We want them to come up with new and exciting ideas over and above what we would have come up as leaders. And when things are based on reactivity, it takes that autonomy and that empowerment away from those individuals. So this is why it's not a strategy, because you can see that it starts to break down the core components of really the things that we want in our businesses, the things that we want to be as leaders. It erodes that, and it erodes it relatively quickly. It doesn't take long for this environment of urgency to take hold, and for everyone to feel like, because then you're waiting on the next urgent moment, right? Like when that becomes part of your culture, everyone's kind of on the edge of their seat and they're a little bit anxious and they don't know what to run at, because they're like, oh God, like Taylor's going to come at me again with some urgent thing today that's like the fire that we got to put out, and I can't, and I'm going to have to shift my perspective or my focus. So let me just wait and be in this kind of nervous, cautious phase and not move forward. So it interrupts the thing that we say we want the most, which is progress quickly. It stops that.
Well, and it creates a savior environment. Like we get a lot of value out of feeling like we saved the day. And when we create this habit of urgency and a culture of urgency, it creates a lot of false value, because now instead of being valued because we did a really good job and we have a clear understanding of efficiency, we now place all of our value and expectation on urgency, which is a savior mentality, which builds codependency. So a lot of toxic behaviors are created around this, and it is a dopamine hit. Like we do it because it helps us feel important fast, instead of creating sustainable relationships, sustainable productivity. And that's why it leads to burnout.
Whew. That's good.
And at the end of
I
it,
hadn't thought about that.
It's manipulation.
Ooh, you always come back to me.
It's always
manipulation.
It always is manipulation. Like
if you take a snack break at work, it's manipulation. If you go fill your water bottle, if you order a coffee, if you talk to your friend.
No.
If you send a text message that's not work related, it's manipulation.
You're so full of it. No, but like anytime it's a dopamine hit, like a lot of times it's ourselves manipulating. It's self-sabotage, right? Like
totally.
You know,
right. No, you're right.
We can make it sexy if we want to, but it's not serving us. Therefore, it's manipulation. I'm like the Crudes guy. You've never seen that movie yet, but like if you're listening and you know what I'm talking about, the dad's like, if you go outside of the cave, it's dead. You die, like dead. Go do this, dead. Like he has like all of these little like stories that he tells them, and he's like, and they died. That's mine with manipulation. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about where this shows up, because you're like, I don't think we do that. If you're thinking that, maybe you should probably comment and message us, because we want to learn from you. Because we are usually pretty bad at this. So let's talk about where it shows up. So it shows up in every single meeting. It can, like, those meetings can turn into crisis. We have to have a meeting today. I need to meet with you right now.
I think this is the most, I imagine this is where most people will feel this, because we see this in so many of the organizations that we come in to and begin to work with. That's the like reactive nature of like, let's call a meeting. It's, 5 o'clock. We got to, it's just put yourself in that place. This is so much now a part of so many cultures, is this kind of crisis-based meeting structure where we have meetings because of the fire that's happening. I'm using fire in quotes. So yeah, totally. I think that's like, for me, when I think about this, that's the most obvious place that I know that it is probably felt by so many people, is the last minute meeting. Let's all hands on, right? We've heard that.
All hands meeting in 20 minutes.
Yeah. I'm like,
everyone hates that. Nobody wants to see that on Slack. FYI, everybody hates the red.
Yeah. And then there's few instances, sometimes absolutely, like you got to put your heads together and like certainly earlier stage businesses, things, but like as a general rule, like that's a reactive response to something that probably needs a bit more thought and probably doesn't need to have as many people involved as are involved, right? You send it out to 30 people in Slack, like it probably just needs like 3 people, right? Like there's also this kind of aggregate, over collaborative approach to this urgency. So anyway, we don't have to get into the weeds with the meeting piece, but I do want people to I think that's where they'll be able to at least start to see it. And then I want them to hear these next examples. Like, but I think that's kind of the most like on the nose part.
Yeah. Well, and when we're in this place where urgency is our standard and our way of culture, also it puts people in fight, flight, or freeze, and nobody makes great decisions in that place. So taking a second, even sleeping on it or eating or taking a walk, and then calling all hands meeting probably is a better decision because you're going to be able to think from a more rational place.
I'd like to replace sleeping on it with eating on it.
Yeah, no, like sleep, eat, walk.
Yeah.
Those are like what I always tell like our family. I'm like, we don't have hard conversations when we're hungry, tired, or haven't moved. Mm-hmm. Those are like our 3. I'm like, why do we do that? Because we don't think, we just don't process or communicate in a great way when we're any of those, when we're like stuck, eat on it. I'm like, have you eaten on it? We're not talking about this. And you seem a little grumpy. Do you need a nap? You need to eat? The second one is no room for reflection or planning. This goes back to that. Like, have you actually been able to reflect on this? Does this actually need a all hands meeting? Or is there a way that you can take the 3 people and plan or reflect on it and then make some decisions? Because most of the time, like you're saying, you only need your core leaders, and then your core leaders are going to disseminate the right information